I'm in Marseille, about to leave this busy port to cross the Atlantic. Nearly 80 years earlier, many people came here hoping to escape fascist Europe. A few did manage to get away to the island I'm heading for, Martinique. With France quickly defeated by Nazi Germany, thousands of people headed for Marseille, hoping to find safety. In desperation, some came to this street, seeking help at the office of the American Relief Committee. It was headed by Varian Fry, who was sent from the USA with the names of 200 people to rescue. But soon his team was inundated with many more, all desperately trying to find escape routes. Fry's team soon rented a mansion outside Marseille. Two of the fugitives and their families also moved in. Victor Serge, a lifelong revolutionary, one of the last opponents of Stalin to make it out before the purges, and still shunned by many governments. André Breton, the founder of surrealism, but now described as a dangerous anarchist, unwanted by the police. Nicknamed Chateau Hope for Visa, for a few months, Air Belle became a temporary haven, a place for political discussion and surrealist art. Books and ideas were shared and art produced by people, all of whom were in great danger. With Martinique still loyal to Vichy France, the sea route from Marseille was kept open. But using this escape route would be more difficult than my journey. Refugees had to find their way round a truly Byzantine system. As well as tickets, they needed papers to leave and more papers to arrive in other countries. With a combination of luck and determination, some were able to find a way out. In March 1941, around 300 desperate people managed to board the Captain Paul Lemerle. A cargo ship adapted to transport people. My Atlantic journey would be very different to theirs. One passenger called the Paul Lemerle filthy and overcrowded. Others described it as a floating concentration camp. Serge estimated that nearly 200 passengers were fleeing because they were Jewish, and many of the rest were revolutionaries, people who he said knew all types of suffering and death. This voyage of escape brought together some remarkable people who had little hope of survival if they had stayed in France. Along with Serge and Breton, they included Claude Lévi-Strauss, an anthropologist, but as a Jew not safe in his native France. Wilfredo Lam, a Cuban already making a name for himself as an artist, but also a Republican supporter during the Spanish Civil War. Anna Seghers, a communist writer, arrested by the Gestapo before leaving her native Germany. Minna Flake, a politically active physician, also imprisoned by the Gestapo. Germaine Krull, photographer and political activist. Kurt Courant, cinematographer who had worked on nearly 100 films. There were festivities to mark the crossing of the Tropic of Cancer. The likes of Serge, Breton and Lévi-Strauss would have what amounted to informal on-board seminars on a whole variety of subjects. But another passenger noted that despite their shared experience, there was never a community of equals. After nearly 4 weeks at sea, they arrived at Fort de France in Martinique. They did not have the same welcome as my arrival. The island was governed like the rest of Vichy France, who received the new arrivals like a cargo of scapegoats. Most passengers were interned at Lazaret Camp, a former leper colony. Considered subversive, even when allowed out, they were followed. Surrealist Breton was surprised to find a copy of a literary review called Tropique, recently started by a group of Martinique writers, including Aimé Césaire. This led to a long interchange of ideas between surrealists and Caribbean writers. But despite all the cultural and political discussions, most of the refugees endured more miserable conditions. They would move on as soon as they could, eventually finding freedom.